Woo! It's the Cool Nerd Beat Show. That's CS.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on Adobe Radio. Live in the Adobe Radio studios, by the way, in North Hollywood, California.
In North Adobe.
In North Adobe region of LA, the beautiful Adobe Radio Studios. Thank you, Adobe, for allowing these two stoner nerds to use your facilities, which sounds like the bathroom, but we also use your bathroom. Our bathroom is the coolest one in town because it has all the signatures of the artists that come through. And Adobe Radio is just a very cool place. It's a very cool place to be, and we appreciate being here.
It is. We love it. We love our bathroom wall of fame.
We do. We do.
The studios, the vibe here. It's cool.
Yeah, it's the best. And we are happy to be doing our show per the usual, as we've been doing for quite some time. We started it right before weed went recreational in California. So 15?
Yeah, it was before the vote in 2016.
16.
And we were brainstorming in 2015.
Yeah.
Having lunch meetings.
Yeah.
And seshes on our own. You know, that's where the Cool Nerd Weed Show was born.
It was. It was born through wanting the correct information to be out there. TS and I, we probably crossed paths before that at some concert somewhere or some tour somewhere, but we hadn't met until we started working at the dispensary together. But we both like, yammering about stuff. We're nerds, and, we like the same stuff. So that's how we came together and did the Cool Nerd Beat Show. I guess, it's always good to do another introduction of who we are, of the nerds. We've been doing it for so long that I'm always like, oh yeah, I guess not everybody just knows who the nerds are.
If it's your first time listening, thank you.
Yeah.
For joining us today on this journey of nerddom.
Yeah. It's when people ask what the show is and what we do and stuff, it does just sound like we're just a show that talks about reviews of weed and stuff. And we do that, and we will do that. And we do smoke a lot of weed. We are stoners who like to sit and be stoners and stuff. But we also, since we worked in it, I always felt that gave us it does. It gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, we have a unique perspective on the industry. Not only just being consumers of cannabis, we've seen it from all angles of the business, really.
Yeah, and it hasn't it's not where sometimes if you listen back in our catalog, we can maybe sound a little grumpy, or we want the best for the industry is really what it is, and that's where the Cool Nerd Weed Show was born. Is we were we know a lot of stuff just through working in the biz, even before it was legal. Just in California, weed was such an important part of the culture out here that you just learn as you go. We knew that this information, this education that we have access to, not everybody has access to it. So we just wanted to be the world's bud tender.
That's true. I really never thought of being a bud tender to the world.
To the world. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be that. I'm happy to do that. We only ask that the minds remained open, and they do, I feel for the most part, even though people come at weed maybe with a little bit of a
preconceived notions and some stigma.
And that's okay.
Some old theories.
And that's okay. And, I think about this too. I remember like first like telling like my therapist I smoked weed or something like as a joke. Like
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
like, "Oh, I forget things. Don't get old." I was like, "Oh, I forget things because I smoke weed." Ha! And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, what would I say? Like, and then she was like, "Do you have a problem?" And I was like, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be, like talking. Like I was very like I talked to my like my sister's like husband's parents, like my brother-in-law's parents, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, like my husband's friends don't smoke weed, so like I feel like it's weird to hang out with them. And she was like, well, I don't smoke weed, can you hang out with me? And I was like, I should like stop making myself out, because like people, but that these are all true things that I'm saying, like, but people see that as like a stereotype, kind of like a you know like
Yeah, for sure. Like you're
I'm addicted to weed, and like I'm a couch locked stoner. And now those two things may be true, but I also
you're you're not the deflated balloon that's sitting on the couch
no.
with the dog with the disappointed dog.
No, I'm not the disappointed dog one. That's not me. And I think that like it was important for us to do this show and for us to bud tend and educate. And when we were in the dispensary together, it was definitely like lightning in a bottle times. But I remember back then, like it really was a lot of drama. Any workplace is a
Yeah,
drama,
for
really,
real.
but there was a good amount of drums popping.
Like daily, I feel
Yeah.
like there was something happening, whether it was interpersonal, was intercustody, or it was
Yeah.
like government interference, or like even or police raids and
Well,
things like that.
yeah. I mean, before I got into it, like all that stuff. But like we'll get into why kind of like we're giving you the history of the Cool Nerd Weed Show. But like back then, it was always like, oh, it'd be fun if like this were like a reality TV show. But there was so much like shit going on.
It
Like
was
it was a little lawless, and I think cameras would be there were cameras, but like cameras for entertainment would be
yeah.
access would be limited.
Would would you don't necessarily want to have filming like the traditional market activities.
Right. Which if you were in weed at that time, like you probably had some traditional market experience. um so yeah, like even though we felt as if like wow, this would be entertainment, it's like it couldn't have been anything. And I remember kind of like, I mean, we're in LA, so everybody's always talking about making everything a reality show. But I do believe that the weed industry, the cannabis industry, is a good place. Like, I mean, whatever. I love reality TV, and like I'm obsessed with Vanderpump Rules, and that's about a bar. It's about a restaurant. It's about a restaurant in LA. So yes, like those things come with their own set of drums. But when we were, I still can't help but to feel like when we were doing it would have been more entertaining.
Probably. The idea of reality TV has been pitched to me so many times in the various dispensaries that I've worked in,
I
like
know.
probably every
know.
single one of them.
Yeah.
And I've always said, "Fuck no, are you crazy?"
I know, and like I again, like I said, again, I understand why one would feel as if that would be a good idea because of the drums and because of the the subject matter. It is weed. It's kind of a
But
edgy.
but now that there's like 30 plus states on board with either with medical adult use or both, I would probably in 2024, I would probably sign on to it.
You would.
I think so.
You would.
Now that like
Interesting.
more than half the country, like the feds are trying to figure it out, I might put myself out there.
Interesting. I find that to be interesting. I mean,
Because
I would too.
if somebody approached us at the weed in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
I would even 2016. I would say that would still be a hard no for me.
Yes, agreed.
But fast forward to now, maybe I'd consider it. I consider it.
Yes, definitely. Well, the reason why we are pontificating on the reality television dispensary combo is because there's going to be a reality dispensary weed combo coming into our lives. Jimmy Kimmel is producing this, which like is cool. Like I like Jimmy Kimmel. His son used to come into the weed, which was cool. Like they just seem they are pro weed clearly. Like
Even in this this variety photo, Jimmy Kimmel looks like he may have partake in cannabis.
I would bet that he's inhaled a couple times. So that's a good part of this. It's called High Hopes. It's going to be on Hulu, which is interesting because Hulu is like a Disney.
Yeah, that's the Disney like parent. Disney's the parent company, right?
Yes.
With Hulu and ABC, and so Disney's actually putting money into this cannabis reality TV show.
They are, yes. It looks like they're, I'm very curious. So this follows around this one dispensary, the founders of this dispensary, MMD, which is out here in LA. They have like a bunch of locations. They say they're one of the oldest dispensaries in Hollywood. That may be true. It may be true. We don't know. Is it true?
If they could be one of, but I don't know when they started existing. I think they started existing when they started snatching up licenses from
that's
Prop 215, Measure D compliant like licenses.
Yes.
So
that's what I thought.
I
but
remember
maybe they have been around. I don't know.
I remember when they built on Cahuenga.
Yeah, me too. We were both like, oh, look at that. There's a weed shop right on Cahuenga. And they have a bunch. There's going to be one in Jersey. I will go to it.
I was shopping there during the pandemic. They had everything I needed.
Yeah.
It was nice enough.
Yeah. They're cool. I never really felt a bad thing about them. So the founders of MMD, I guess it's going to be following these guys.
Slava and Mishka. And they're a married band.
Yeah, married band of Belarus-born brothers. And they're all their OG employees. So,
I find that interesting too because, what does that entail? Like, there's such a high turnaround.
Yeah.
I see ads for MMD like every week.
Yeah, me too.
Like, how many? There's got to be if they were shooting for 8 weeks, there's probably 25 different employees that have gone through the place.
And it says they'll follow them around through whatever their trials and tribulations of the weed industry, and they're gonna their big day is 420, which is a big day for us. And they're trying to expand nationally and also launch a weed brand. So it's a high stress time for these lads. And this show is going to show that. I mean, yeah, if I like reality TV because I feel like the people they are semi like me and they're not me. I watch these Bravo shows because I'm better these guys than me. So I feel like it'll be weird because I don't know, because I also feel like a reality show, I don't know, a dispensary reality show just always made sense, but also didn't make any sense at all. So I wonder how we'll feel watching it.
Well, they did, was it Discovery that did that that show? I thought it was sort of reality TV. It was Steve, is it D'Angelo? What's the show? Harborside.
Oh,
in
yeah.
in the Bay Area up north.
Yes.
I never watched it because I
No,
was
I
like,
didn't watch it either.
so I was like, people asked if I watch it. I'm like, I live this every day.
Yeah, that's
I-
kind of what the vibe I
yeah.
got. I feel like I didn't.
I don't want to go home and watch everything that I've just lived.
Right, right. It was very close to home. Like I wasn't there was no separation. Because even when I watched like Vanderpump or whatever, like, yes, I worked in a restaurant and I do like feel those feelings, but like, I don't know, it's been a long time since I worked in a restaurant. So it's like I was far enough removed to like immerse myself in their drama and not get anxiety about it. I feel like since it's so fresh that we're in the weed industry, it was like triggering a little bit to watch it.
For sure.
So I forgot about that even. So maybe
I'll give this a shot.
yeah, maybe we'll have like fresh eyes with this and we'll feel differently because it's like now and times are different. It'll be fun to see like their bud tenders and stuff and like what kind of drums.
Is it going to be like interesting? Is it going to be like customer interactions along with the back of house happenings, or is it going to be like nothing really exciting happens, so they're going to go in and take a bite of somebody's sandwich and create some drama in the break room?
Yeah,
like that kind of.
Right, like no, totally. Which is pretty much what reality TV still is. It's very much it's unscripted, but there's storylines,
like,
there's plot lines. So I wonder what their plot lines are going to be. Yeah, exactly. Is it going to be like customer, leaning? Because that is where a lot of the drama comes from. Is it going to be like interpersonal with the employees? Because that also was a lot of drama. Is it going to be like entrepreneurs? Like I know when I'm watching like a reality show, like any number of reality shows, from the Housewives to the, real estate ones to below to any of them. What we like to see is like when people form personal relationships and then like fight or something, you know what I mean? Like that part is fun. And like, I guess that would happen at the shops, like there would be a lot of,
I mean, they're two brothers, so that there's already like that sort of interaction that could go, who knows? They're the Belarus brothers. They could be like yelling at each other all fucking day.
Yeah. Not like I want them to, but like,
it's,
for my entertainment.
if I was working with my brothers, it would probably be interesting. There might be a little bit of yelling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll be watching for sure this time around. This is not an ad or anything. We just found it interesting, and it's kind of like local news because these are local dispensaries to LA. I don't know where my like expectation lies. I think like if you were to ask me again like a couple years ago, I would have low expectations, but
for sure.
Yeah, but like now I feel like with it being more accessible and accepted, like this could be a really good thing, like people could watch this and be like, oh yeah, weed is like happening.
It's not that bad. This is what's happening in LA, and it needs to happen everywhere.
Yeah, so and like it could help the very slow destigmatization of weed. So I'm all for that. I am. I don't have any like haterade to pour about this or to drink about this because it's cool. I am curious about when they did it though. Like what year.
Yeah, if it's all leading up to 420, then it has to be
at least
last year.
But like, would it be last year? I guess so. That seems like a good
unless
time to
they
do it.
are doing it in real time now, and they released the first episode on 420, and then they were like, I don't know how these things work.
I think that's how it works, but that'd be fun. No, it couldn't have been too long ago. I mean, it like at least had to be in the last like 5 years that they did this. Well, I'm kind of excited, but I hope it doesn't make us feel like weird.
We'll let you know the week after 420.
421, yeah.
421.
We'll be watching. Yeah, I guess that's cool, Hulu. You're now you're the cool streaming. Yeah, because like Netflix did Disjointed, and that shit was whack.
That was whack as fuck for sure.
So Netflix has some work to do. Just putting it out there. Okay, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna have some fun here on the Cool Nerd Weed Show.
The nerds will be right back. It's never too late to join the sesh.
Pass that here.
And we're back.
We're back.
It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show. That's TS.
And that's Sasha.
And we're somewhere on Adobe Radio. We may be live, we may not be live, but either way, we're here now together. And we promised we were going to have a good show this time, or a happy show today.
Another fun sandwich.
But I do want to make sure.
With an extra helping of fun.
Yes. Why don't you give out our socials while I...
Oh, yeah, it's a
do some
great
detective
idea,
work.
Sasha. We are at Instagram at Cool Nerd Weed Show. We are on YouTube, where you can find all of our videos at Cool Nerd Weed Show. We are on X at Cool Nerd Weed. We're on Blue Sky. We are on... we are on... Buddy Jane at Cool Nerd Weed Show. We're on Social Club. We are on at Cool Nerd Weed Show. Basically everywhere at Cool Nerd Weed Show. What else? Where else are we?
I think that does it. I think that covers it. Thank you. I think that's where we are for the most part. You can always hear us. You can go to adobe.com and listen to us, or you can listen to us on our podcast. We should be broadcasting at 11 o'clock on Mondays. If you don't hear us, that's okay. That's okay. Is that us? Are we broadcasting?
We are on. Yeah.
Fuck, Jesus, thank you. So yes, I'm glad you're listening. If you are, if you're listening to the podcast, then you're the titties, and you've been with us, and we love you for all of that. Okay.
One last thing.
Yes, YouTube.
Before,
did you say YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
YouTube. We have merch.
Yes, we do.
At coolnerdweedshow.bigcartel.com. You can check it out. There's some one-of-a-kinds.
Yes. We have a lot of fun stuff on our merch.
Limited
store.
edition.
Yeah, we do have. We have a bunch of limited edition, fun stuff. I don't know. We have some fun stuff on our merch store. We would love for you to represent the nerds. They're styling, and they're comfy, and they're pretty good quality. And, you could put it on. You could make onesies for your baby. There's all sorts of fun things. Do all of those things. We love your support, and we love you for listening to us. And we just love to talk about weed, whether it's educational or fun or a review. But yeah, we at times get a little curmudgeonly. It happens here and there. But we wanted to today have some funs. We wanted to. We'll probably be cranky at the end, but here's just some. I guess this comes a lot from us realizing that not everyone is just knows about weed. Not everyone who's not in the industry, or people who are kind of curious, or people who just are parents and want to know about what's out there, or whatever you are. That's totally cool. Stoners usually love to talk about weed, and especially us. And not only do we love to talk about what's good for you, we like to talk about the actual weed itself. And we do a lot of shows, a lot of fun shows where we've given we do the cannabis, sex, and giggles episodes where there's endless amounts of information about cannabis and sex. We do a lot of history of weed stuff. We try to relate it to our most recent one was our President's Day special, and that was a classic. Definitely check out that one. So this is something that we like to do. So today, since we didn't want to be cranky, we found some fun, interesting, fun facts about weed that you may not know. We found these from the internet, and we threw them together. And if you do know them, or you have any other fun facts, find us on one of those 8 billion platforms that we're on and DM us, because we do check all of those, and we like to talk to you. So find us on all of those things, and give us your fun fact about weed. So where should we start?
Let's start with cannabis is over 2,500 years old.
Whoa, wait.
That's 2,500 years.
Is it? Wait. So it okay, so it was kind of over on over on the Asia side of the world, right? That's where.
Yeah, some of the earliest recorded farmers of cannabis were the Tibetan plateaus. Chinese farmers would grow hemp or cannabis and for the plants for oil and fiber, and they are actually reporting that it was used for its elevating effects were reported up to including that time 2,500 years ago.
Yes.
In Western China.
Yes.
They knew the plant had some.
It was just like a regular herb.
Yeah.
It was
just around. It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
Part of the scene. Mm-hmm. They were seshing in Tibet, making that good 500
BC,
making that good. What is it?
Tea?
Nepalese.
Yes.
The Nepalese hash.
Yeah. So it's like an ancient sort of plant. So when you hear people get spiritual about weed, it's not because of the yes, the psychoactive effects of weed does make you get in touch with your spiritual side from time to time, but it's an old plant. It is from before times, so it does have a deep connection to nature and spirits and stuff. So yeah, it's not like we're just a bunch of hippie dippies. I mean, we are, but there's a reason. It's because it's an oldie timey herb that was used for medicine, actually.
Yeah, the Chinese made tea. Mm-hmm. The Greeks pitched some tents and heated up some rocks, which would probably be the original dab rig.
Yes.
And vaporizer, and they'd hang out and imbibe all this cannabis.
Yes. So that's a cool fun fact that you can tell all your friends. And this is something that I had to explain to, I think it was, I don't know, it was a relative of mine. It was recently. It was at a family function. We were talking about male and female plants, and the reason for any of them. So and I think or I was talking to you and somebody called and asked when I was working at the dispensary if our seeds were female. And I was like, we'd be doing bad business if we sold male seeds. But, unless you are really high level breeding, only the female cannabis plants will get you high.
Yes.
So you do want to make sure.
You want to make sure that all your plants that are growing are female.
Yes. And male plants are, just like male people, they are just as good as the reproduction that they
As a male plant, I'm only good for one thing.
No, we love you for your mind too. But if we didn't have male plants, we wouldn't have all the fun,
all the beautiful strains and crosses out there.
Yeah. So, you want to make sure when you're growing your weed, when you're getting your weed, that you're getting your female plants.
Yeah, I believe the early farmers had to find this out at one point to remove the male plants.
Right.
But you watch some of these old growers and they leave a few males because they need some seeds for the next generation, the next crop.
Totally. There's totally use, and if you're a farmer, you're, I guess you know that. But if you're new to it, and you are looking and shopping or just kind of picking out from a friend's garden or something, just, make sure you're in the female realm of things. And if you really want to grow and scale, get yourself a couple male plants, throw them in there too. So that's a fun fact. You can tell your mom. And you'll sound not like a lazy stereotypical stoner. You sound like a horticulturist.
Yes, an intellectual cannabis enthusiast.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know when there are about or maybe close to or possibly over 100 cannabinoids in the marijuana plant. Things we probably
Oh, this is something that we know. We know
yes,
this.
we know this.
Yes.
There's cannabinoids that we are learning about and discovering, and they've been identified for a long time. We're just figuring out how to isolate, group them together for different effects, and how these affect our body.
Yeah. And like this is something that we certainly do know, but if you are new to weed, I'm sure you've heard it peripherally, but they're important. So you're going to want to pay attention to what they're called and all that good stuff. Because the combinations of them is kind of how probably like we're going to be looking at weed as medicine soon. So yeah, pay attention to the cannabinoids. We want to say cannabinoids, right?
Cannabinoids.
Yeah. Okay. What's next? So that's fun fact.
Another fun fact, Bob Marley, you may have heard of him.
Familiar, yeah, vaguely.
He was buried with some cannabis. With some cannabis, which is how I would like to be buried.
Yeah,
as well.
That's I feel like please, yes. Yeah, well, he was part of the Rastafarian religion, and weed just so happens to be very prominent part of that religion.
One of their sacraments.
Mm-hmm. Just like, you go to a Catholic church, drink the blood of Christ, go to a Rastafarian service, smoke some herbs. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ceremony, and he was a beautiful dude. And it makes sense. It makes sense that he would be buried with weed. He's like our mascot, There's nothing better when you walk into a dispensary and there's Bob Marley playing. I'm sorry. Like, it'll never in my life get old, ever. And it's been a lot.
Ever. Every picture of Bob Marley, he's got a joint in his mouth.
Yeah. It's
or
like,
one in his hand. And it's a beautiful thing.
It's just a safe space. You
you're in the right place.
You hear Bob Marley song, you smell weed, you're in the right place. You're in a place that's like going to take care of you. It's just true. So, yeah, bury me with marijuana. And also, that's another fun fact.
Let's see. We have more fun facts. Morocco says right here, is the largest producer of marijuana in the world. I would have to say it's probably the largest producer of hash or hashish.
Sure. That makes sense. Cool.
It's been an economic staple for centuries to the Moroccan people.
That's pretty cool.
I've had some Moroccan.
Is it crazy?
It's very traditional. You'd probably more often smoke it with like a little bit of tobacco. Traditionally,
really?
I did smoke it straight because I don't really smoke tobacco.
No, but I can see why. I did a lot
of hash under glass.
Yeah, well, that's like the best. I miss hash in my life. And Moroccan hash is probably very, very, very good. So it still currently is the largest producer of marijuana. That's very interesting. Other countries in the top 5 are Afghanistan, Spain, Lebanon, and Pakistan. That all makes sense.
It does.
But it sounds weird. Well, you know what I mean. Like, it just sounds like I guess,
except for Spain, you would think it's pretty much outlawed in every, very frowned upon in Afghanistan.
And Spain, too. I would feel like those were countries that wouldn't, well, I mean, I'm sure they recognize the value of weed, but it does, I guess, if you were to, guess which are the top 5 largest producers of weed, I probably would have arrived at, those general areas, but yeah, I guess that's a fun fact that you could tell people.
I was in Spain when I got the Moroccan. It's
Makes
right
sense.
across the
Makes sense.
The water.
Yeah, the water.
I was trying to think of which. The river.
We're nerds, but we're not that nerdy. We don't know our geographies. That's a fun fact. Tell your friends about that. So what's the next one?
All right, Sasha. Which was the first state to legalize cannabis for recreational purposes?
See, now my guess would have probably been, and it would have been wrong, would have been Colorado. But I would have been wrong.
You would have been wrong because it was Washington.
That's a fun fact.
December 6th, 2012.
2012. Wow.
They became the first state to actually start selling. I think it was voted in the same time. Colorado and Washington voted for adult use, but Washington kicked it off first.
That is a fun fact because I would have done. I mean, I knew they were probably around the same time, but also that's interesting. That's interesting.
Because I think that vote was in November of 2012.
Yes, I suppose it was.
And then Washington really fast tracked it, and Colorado was like, "We're getting in."
Yeah,
on this
they
too.
were like, "Hold our beer." Oh well, good for you, Washington. You win, and you're part of fun fact history.
Oh, let's see. This was always. I thought this was always interesting when you add cannabis to chocolate. That chocolate effects can be the same as cannabis effects. Sort of. I don't. Really,
like dopamine. Or
like
something?
dopamine, like tickles your brain in the same way.
We kind of talked about this when we did the cannabis sex and giggles. Remember?
Yeah.
We talked about like what have the same like we. It's like well, I guess it's not like aphrodisiac. Well, I guess it's like the same.
It's the same kind of thing.
Concept.
Like little something that triggers dopamine.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess we kind of knew that. That's a fun fact, but it's kind of whack.
Yeah. This one we usually cover on 420. And,
we do, yeah, and we will this year too.
There are over 1,200, that's 1,200 slang words for cannabis.
1,200. Damn. Well, this website's favorite is broccoli.
It's very, there's a,
That's
that one's kind of played out.
Yeah.
But Houdini.
Houdini is a good one, and I feel like it's a very underused one. And we always mention it every 420. And I feel like we should. So what is it like? Go get me some Houdini.
Houdini, because you want to escape.
I want to
Escape reality, bro.
Get me out of these shackles, these whatever. I'm underwater. What did something happen with them?
I feel like I'm drowning,
Yeah,
wrapped in chains.
Yeah.
And I'm trapped in a milk crate with 4 locks on it. I need to escape.
I need some of that Houdini.
That Houdini, bro.
So we're gonna try to bring that. We're gonna try to bring that back.
Houdini back.
Yeah. But there are you can definitely listen to 420 current and past of our slangs. We'll get through all 1,200 of them one year, but we do go through a lot of them. There's a lot of them. So this next one is the 420. It doesn't really say though, because nobody can really pin down where 420 like comes from. It's like the 420 code.
It's
obviously you see 420, you know what. It's
It's kind of a legendary number.
Yeah.
But there's like some groups that were college students at the time or high school students in the Bay Area that claim they came up with it.
They do, yeah.
There's 2 different groups, and they had beef last 420.
They did. They were like, no, it was us. And then the other one was like, no, it was us. And it's like weird flags. And like when I was in high school, the story that we got was that was the police code or something. And
for a long time, I thought it was like the 420 was like smoking pot in progress.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Burglary in progress.
Yeah,
420
like a
was
157. I knew there were some numbers involved with police code, but that's a fallacy. It's not
a myth.
So don't tell your friends that, because you'd be wrong. But we don't know what to tell your friends, and neither do the people who created 420. So just leave that fact. If anybody asks you what's 420, just be like, nobody knows.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. Yeah, that we can't tell you. Oh, hey, we already told you this.
George Washington was a grower of hemp.
And he wanted to always like find the best like strain. Like he was like, oh, I found that this grows like this and this grows like that. And he always like wrote about it. He mentions it a lot. I mean, it was like his crop. Like that's like what he used.
Yeah, it was the cash crop at the time.
Yeah. So it's a cool fun fact. Listen to our President's Day special. It was a really fun one, and we it's comprehensive. So it was fun. So yeah, those are a lot of fun facts that you can spit out at your next function. Shakespeare. Well, is this true? Oh, marijuana residues were found in Shakespeare's house.
Shakespeare. You may have heard of him. He wrote Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
With Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. What's the movie? The Julia Stiles movie. Hold on. It's like loosely based. Hold on. I'm gonna. The joke is dead. 10 Things I Hate About You is it's like that's like Shakespeare. It's like a Shakespeare thing. And also Macbeth. Yeah, so I guess Bill dabbled in weed. That's not surprising.
No, not at all. You know, creative people like to do creative things.
Yeah. I guess it was like made him pretty emo though. And dramatic, jeez. And he made up like a whole thing. Like he literally made up a language and a way to write. Like you formally learn it in all of your schooling, you know. If that came from weed, it's pretty epic.
Yeah,
like
for
if he was
sure.
like real like stoned one night and he was like, iambic pentameter. It's like music.
That is a stony concept.
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. Tell that you can for sure tell your friends. I think that's a worthy icebreaker. And oh, well, this is like, I guess, a fun fact. That the last one.
Oh yeah, cannabis can be used in construction. Hempcrete, biocomposite material made from hemp herds, and lime.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
It's a very strong material.
Insulation. But it lacks the brittleness. It says it lacks the brittleness of concrete. So it's more firm? Is it a better substance? Is it a better?
Probably is better
It
than
is
concrete.
better than concrete. Probably lasts longer.
Well, do we use it?
Not as much as we should.
Like, I don't know of anything. That's but, I mean, that just goes to, we've always said hemp is very strong. That's why the founding fathers used it. So those were our fun facts. We found those on the internet. You could probably do the same. But you could use those as your icebreakers at parties. And you can tell your friend or your moms or your pops or your grandmoms who asks you about weed. You could be like, well, did you know that it is 2,500 years old? It's a surefire way to get people to stop asking you questions, I suppose. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will come back with the final Huff and Puff.
The final Huff and Puff with TS and Sasha.
And we're back.
We're back.
That's yes.
And that's Sasha.
It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show. We love you, Adobe, and we love you for listening and for being a part of the Cool Nerd Weed Show for so many years. We like to close the show with final Huff and Puff. We are curmudgeons at the end of the day. So today, our final Huff and Puff is political and about, just trigger warning, and it's about the House GOP. There's this marijuana banking bill that just has been begging to be passed for many years. It's really like, a bill to make things easier. Security clearances, federal employment, banking, literally banking. Dispensaries can't use actual banks, like
Credit card use,
debit cards, anything. If you go to a dispensary and it's cash only, it's not because the dispensary is, being weird about your credit cards. They would love for it to be easier for you to buy weed, but the government makes it very difficult. So forever, since more states are recreational and probably weed is going to be rescheduled, there's been a banking bill that's been trying to make things easier, but it does keep getting blocked, and it's mostly if all by the GOP caucus.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer keeps floating this banking bill year after year, and the Republican House Advisory Committee is formally opposing the bill, and they want the banking bill removed. This is crazy. This is fucking crazy. And the reasons that they're citing is that, they're going with the old cannabis as a gateway drug.
Classic.
That causes violence, depression, and suicide.
Oh, come on. They're not even mentioning the hard thing that's going around?
No, they didn't mention that Fox News point. They're against Kamala Harris, has been coming out recently to try to get some movement, positive traction in cannabis reform.
Yes.
But we
talked about that last week.
Yes, we did. But they're arguing that the cannabis is, quote, a hazardous drug with short and long-term impacts.
Okay. You'd think this would be, we wouldn't be talking about this like this anymore. You'd think it would just be like a technicality is the reason why. Now, I would like to note, just as I do every time we talk about this stuff, is that cannabis may make people feel depressed. It may make you react in a different way than it does everybody else. It may do different things to you. We don't really know because we haven't really been able to do steady science, peer-reviewed studies on weed. We're trying to get that done legally, but the way to do that is to open up all these channels. And if you have smoked weed and you had an episode related to your mental illness, we should know why that happened. We're not like TS and I. Obviously, we love weed and stuff, but like we want to know. We want to know the true things of what happens with weed. We want to know why things happen. Like yesterday, I felt like I was going to have a seizure, and you had a CBD tincture, and I was immediately fine.
You took two droppers full.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Immediately chilled out.
And this is stuff that we've been saying. This is stuff that has been like proven. Yeah, I was about to have a panic. Like it was like getting there, and it was like that stuff that you see on like, CNN, like where you give an autistic child or a child with epilepsy CBD, and their symptoms are relieved. Now that's not saying that it works for everything. It may not work for some, and it may work for others. Doses of things may work for some, and different cannabinoids, different everythings. Weed is a very complicated and beautiful creature that deserves to be studied. Calling it a gateway drug is not only
it's a dated
it's
concept.
Tired.
It's totally.
It's tired and it's dated, and it doesn't even really make sense anymore because we know that that's not true. We know that smoking weed does not lead to doing more drugs. It is not how it's just not how it works.
Generally, the Republican Party sort of wants to believe in less government overreach.
Right.
And here they are. We're trying to loosen up some of the restrictions from the government, and they don't want to let go of their overreach with regards to cannabis in any capacity. And they want to just keep spreading this fucking bullshit of things that are completely outdated to try to scare what like older voters? Or
I
like
honestly
just
like don't
people
know
that are
how they benefit
uneducated?
from this. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Another thing is like they're restricting business,
right.
where you will like tax corporations less, and then say that's to not restrict business, and then you'll cut environmental controls so that business can go on, but you won't release the fucking banking regulations for cannabis.
It truly doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
And it, makes us sad. And we get frustrated and angry, and we urge you to vote, please. It's an election year, a big one. And, a lot of things feel like they're out of our control. And when you hear stuff like this, you're like, oh, God, really? Like, I have to fucking debunk reefer madness right now? You know what I mean? But, for some reason, that's where some of the world still sits. And that's why we continue to do this show. But go vote as much as you can and as often as you can, and have a say in what happens, and make sure that your voice is louder than, and this is...
We have to vote these people out of office.
It's an important time. There's a lot of things hanging in the balance in this country and the world, but we do have one thing that we're trying to protect is the sacredness of voting and having a democracy. Now, who knows? I have been saying this. In a year, we may not have a democracy anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. But if things go the right way and how this experiment of a country was supposed to go, we will still have our say. And our say is that weed is not a gateway drug that causes schizophrenia and depression.
And violence.
It is not. That's a dangerous characterization, and it's a dated war on drugs that, like, is so fucking 1985. Like, I'm over it. Like...
you think that the GOP wants to make money, and everybody wants to make money.
But, you see it. You see it in states that make it legal. More red-leaning counties don't want it in there. It's really because I think they think there's riffraff. Like, I think they think there's, like, some sort of, like, gang activity associated with people who smoke weed. I really think they don't understand. So fuck them. Will... I always say that. Fuck them. So we love you. Thank you for listening to Adobe Radio. Yes, Adobe Radio, and to the Cool Nerd Weed Show. And I hope you tell your friends all of our fun facts, and go get our merch at coolnerdweedshow.bigcartel.com. And
don't panic.
It's organic.